Hello and welcome to our channel. In today's video, we'll be discussing the story of the murder of a prominent businessman that left a community in shock and the investigation that revealed a web of deception and betrayal that led to an unlikely suspect. Edward Thompson was a highly successful entrepreneur who had established a name for himself in the field of information technology. Because of his forward-thinking ideas, he was able to start a business that was at the forefront of cutting-edge technology, and as a result, he amassed a fortune that was in the multiple millions of dollars. He was also well known in the neighborhood for his work in the charitable sector, and throughout the course of his life, he had contributed millions of dollars to a wide variety of organizations and causes. Because of Thompson's accomplishment, he was now the target of an attack. Because of his ruthless approach to business, he had gained the enmity of a number of people in the technology industry. Despite this, Thompson maintained his self-assurance and kept his attention fixed on his work. He was well aware of his status as a dominant figure in the business community, and he did not permit anyone to stand in his way. In the evening of the night he passed away, Thompson was at home by himself. Karen, his wife, was abroad on business, and he had already sent his employees home for the evening. He was going to spend the evening alone. As he heard the ruckus coming from the hallway, he was enjoying some downtime in his living room. So he poured himself a glass of wine and turned on the television. Thompson was a careful individual, and as a result, he had a home security system that was completely up to date built in his residence. He hastily reviewed the surveillance footage and discovered that an intruder was attempting to enter his home. He quickly grabbed his phone and dialed the emergency number, but before he could finish his statement, he was assaulted from behind. He then phoned the police. Thompson struggled to break free from his attacker because of the latter's strength. He was able to get a hold of a vase that was nearby and strike his assailant, but it was to no avail. Thompson was unable to withstand the attacker's strength, and he was defeated. When the police came, they discovered Thompson dead on the floor. He had been there for some time. It was obvious that a fight had taken place, given the state of disarray that prevailed throughout his home. It didn't take long for the police to realize that Thompson had been murdered, but they were unable to identify any possible suspects or find any leads. As the inquiry progressed, the investigators started to make headway in deciphering the intricate web that was Thompson's personal and professional life. They found out that his marriage to Karen, who was his wife at the time, was fraught with difficulties. Since she had been wary of his actions for some time, she decided to retain the services of a private investigator to monitor his movements. Evidence that Thompson had been having an affair with a younger lady named Lily had been unearthed by the private investigator. Karen's feelings were profoundly wounded by the revelation. Yet, she chose not to confront Thompson about the matter. Instead, she started formulating her plans for retaliation. Karen was always a clever businesswoman, and she realized that she could utilize the affair to her advantage if she took advantage of the situation. She started taking money out of Thompson's accounts with the intention of using it to launch her own company and began doing so secretly. She also got in touch with Lily and managed to persuade her to assist her in carrying out a plan to rid herself of Thompson. Lily was head over heels in love with Thompson, and she was ready to go to whatever lengths necessary to be with him. Karen was successful in persuading her that if the two of them collaborated, they would be able to oust Thompson, take control of his business, and inherit his riches. At first, Lily was apprehensive, but after hearing Karen out, she eventually agreed. She was well aware that if they were discovered, both of them would be in a lot of trouble, but she decided that she was prepared to take the chance nonetheless. Karen and Lily devoted a significant amount of time and effort to the murder plot. They conducted research on Thompson's routine as well as his security system, and then they devised a strategy to break into his house and assassinate Thompson. On the evening of the murder, they carried out the strategy that they had devised. Karen, who possessed a key to the Thompson home, was the one who admitted herself and Lily in by employing the key. They followed Thompson into the living room, where he was unwinding, and then ambushed him from behind once they were there. Although Thompson put up a fight, he was no match for the two female opponents. They were able to get the better of him and suffocate him to death. Following the murder, Karen and Lily made an attempt to conceal their involvement. They removed any potential evidence that could point the finger to them and cleaned up the crime scene. They believed that they had committed the perfect murder and would get away with it, but the police who were working the case were persistent. They devoted a significant amount of time and effort into researching the case, spending a lot of time going over every piece of evidence and following every lead. From the very beginning, the detectives had a strong suspicion that Thompson's wife, Karen, was involved in the crime. She had a compelling reason to commit the homicide, and the investigators had a strong suspicion that she had conspired with another individual to carry it out. But, when they found out that Lily was the other suspect, they were taken aback by this information. Lily did not have a prior criminal record, making her a highly improbable suspect in this investigation. She was a young woman who had found herself much in love with Thompson, and she had been lured into Karen's scheme without completely comprehending the repercussions of her participation. The investigators were aware that they required concrete proof in order to connect Karen and Lily to the crime. They started searching through Karen's financial records for any indication that she might have stolen money from Thompson's accounts and began their investigation. They questioned Thompson's employees and associates as well, in the hopes of finding someone who could have witnessed something odd on the night of the murder. In the end, there was a breakthrough in the investigation. An employee of Thompson's came forward and reported to the investigators that he had seen Karen and Lily together on the night of the murder. The detectives were able to use this information to further their investigation. He had been working late in the office, and during that time he had observed the two women as they left the structure together. It seemed strange to him at the time, but he didn't give it much attention until he found out that Thompson had been murdered. The detectives questioned Karen and Lily as soon as they brought them in for questioning. They were successful in coercing a confession out of Karen, and she sobbed while confessing that she was responsible for the murder. She explained to the police that the affair with Thompson was the source of her rage and the pain that drove her to commit murder. Lily was less forthcoming with her confession. Because she had once been in love with Thompson, she couldn't bring herself to accept the fact that Karen had taken advantage of her in such a horrible way. But, after being questioned for a significant amount of time, she eventually confessed to her part in the murder. She admitted to the police that she had been led astray by Karen and that she felt tremendous remorse for what she had done, and she said she was sorry. Both Karen and Lily were found guilty of murder, and they were each given a sentence of life in prison for their crimes. The revelation left the town in a state of disbelief, and many people were left wondering how someone like Karen, who had been a respected part of the community, could have perpetrated such a heinous murder. The tale of Edward Thompson's slaying, along with a complex web of lies and treachery that led up to it, will be told and discussed for many years to come. It was a cautionary tale that demonstrated what can occur when individuals allow their greed and jealousy to get the better of them, and it served as a warning that even the most successful and respected people are capable of doing awful things. Thank you for watching, and be sure to subscribe to our channel for more true crime stories.